All right, so last module, we got the electric guitars popping in, got some spring reverb in there, got them sitting in the rhythm. Now let's bring in these other rhythm elements that are really fundamental to the track. The djembe, the perk, the tambourines, shakers, all that stuff. I even see a rain stick in there, right? So let's see what we got here. Let's get all the syncopation in. Let's start to get more transients and life in the drums. One thing I'm noticing is the snare drum. I really want that to pop a little bit more. It needs more crack to it. Needs a little bit more top to it. The vocals, once we get that stuff kind of cracking a little bit more, we're going to want the vocals to really be pushed up front a little bit more, a little bit top, sizzle on the vocals, because they're going to be kind of the star of the track. That's really important to make sure that they're always in front and they're staying. We're not losing stuff and blah, 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 we don't want that dynamic thing happening with a vocal. We want to do a modern mix. A modern mix is going to be, here's the vocal, front and center. It is important. Everything I'm saying, everything I'm singing is really important. Don't lose a note. Don't lose a word. And everything else is just holding me up, right? So that's the really important part about doing a modern mix. And then we'll get into some bus stuff and some, obviously I got some more processing I want to do to kind of glue things together and make things more modern, some parallel compression stuff on the instruments bus, the drum bus, the vocal bus. And then finally, I'll start popping on some mastering stuff on my master augs to make sure that everything's kind of just tying together and gluing. Because right now it is lacking glue, right? But I want to make sure that I go through every instrument and I make sure that it's doing exactly what it was meant to do in their arrangement. So let's get into these percussion elements. The first thing I want to pop in is I want to get back into that, verse going into the chorus. Or the pre-chorus here. I want to bring these djembes and I want to see what's going on here. So we got a perk mix bus here. The first thing I'm going to do on the perk mix bus, just to be safe, is make sure that we're not having anything go down here, down under 100 hertz or so. We don't need anything down there. We want the bass, the kick drum. We want things tight down there. Another thing, the vocals are going to kind of take up some of this low mid stuff. And I know djembes are just roaring, down here. So I'm just going to kind of, start somewhere. I know this is going to change. Okay. So it's just part of the bus. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to throw a stereo compressor on here, just to start to tame it, to give it some sort of, it doesn't need to be a lot, but just something to hold the compression a little bit, to hold the overs and stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is just pop on a API 2500, which is amazing for percussion. It's amazing for anything transient heavy. I just think it's just an incredible plugin. So thing I'm going to do is just grab a mix bus. There's probably a drum bus preset you could start with here. Yeah, you got little smack drum bus. That's good. I go 100% on that, and I'll take the threshold so we're not compressing so much. And then the attack, I'm going to do actually a little bit faster, so I'll go to 10 here. And I just know this compressor, so if you don't know this compressor and you don't know why I'm doing this, all good. It's just a matter of I've used my ears on this so many times. So the ratio, I'm actually going to go 1.5. I don't want to be compressing very much at all. I'm really just trying to tickle it, and hold some stuff. And then the release, I'm going to go really fast. On the knee, medium is good for me, and then maybe medium on the detection thrust. And then I'm going to go new on a feed forward, which basically means it goes right through the circuitry. And then the old means it feeds back into the circuitry. So it actually causes more harmonics, more distortion. And then I'm going to take this filter. I'm going to turn that off. I actually might do a high pass filter on this just so I can let the low stuff through. And then I'll go 100% linked, so stereo link on this. And we'll bring the gain down a little bit. And then let's just start popping in the djembes and see what we got. Okay, so first off, that's really weird to me to take a top mic of a djembe and a bottom mic and then go like that. That's just not right, What you want is the top and bottom mic, and this is a mono instrument, so to be panning one left and one right for a top and bottom is just not really not really something that I would do. It doesn't even sound cool as an effect because you can get some weird phasey issues going on, right? So let's make sure that these are both going in the same direction, and I'm going to just pick the top one. So I'm going to go 38 here, and let's start to blend these in. Let's make sure they're in phase, the microphones, and check that out. Okay, it really sounds like a weak djembe. Djembes usually have a lot of bottom to them. So this kind of sounds like maybe they already sweeped out a lot of stuff on it. But I'm going to pull this back a little bit just to see what's going on. Okay, so definitely my EQ kind of adding to that fact that there's no low end. But that's okay. We just want a little bit of that low end to signify that it is a djembe. But I don't want it to be clogging up any of the low end. So let's check this out in the mix with just the djembe top and bottom. Sounds pretty in phase to me. I'm hearing the low end clear. It's nice.
Chances, causing strains and breaking branches, popping seeds and growing trees, and stopping avalanches. He won't take no for an answer. There's no going back if he won't measure. Growing tree window, do it down where touches taking chances, causing strains and breaking branches, popping seeds and growing trees, and stopping avalanches. Won't take no for an answer. There's no going back if he won't measure. Growing trees is all he knows. And peeping.
You really can't hear it in the mix. It's really just not cutting through. I can't even hear it as a vibe in the mix, to be honest. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm just going to see what these room mics are doing, and if it's really kind of bringing out the djembe, because they put a lot of work into this djembe. So I want to make sure that it is showing up in the mix.
Measure. Growing trees is all he knows, and peeping at you through the upstairs window. You should up, take a second, go forget where you're at. Don't get caught in your tent, that's a C-spot trap. Now all aboard, come along to the back of the woods. When the song is sing along, it'll be all good. Swatches on heaven.
Okay, so at this point, I like to add maybe a little bit of harmonics, something to kind of get it to spank a little bit more. And something I really like for this, I mean, there's a lot of things I really like for this, but, you know, we can use either the little radiator or we can try the devil lock. We could try the decapitator. I'm actually going to throw the devil lock on it, the deluxe version, just so I have a little more control. But we're going to see if we can get this to kind of spank through the mix a little bit. And a lot of the times I use harmonics distortion to get things to cut through mixes. I'm not using it to distort it, right? Like I'm not using it as an effect for distortion. I want to just get things to come through. So let's mess around with this. I'm going to actually build a a djembe group here. I'm going to grab all these, Command G, and I'm going to call this djembes, right? And now I can just solo these and have the whole group soloed. That's really important. And then having my perk solo saved, I can just hear it. So let's get into this and see if we can get this to cut a little bit more. So I really like what that's doing. That's definitely letting that djembe speak a little bit more. Next thing I want to do with this is I don't want it to take up too much space, but I also want it to have just a little more breath, you know, meaning reverb, really. A lot of the times with like a djembe or something like a hand drum, if I don't really like the room mics, I can, you know, just mute these room mics, because I'm not really feeling the room mics. Like I just don't know, like they don't really do much for the djembe. So what I'm gonna actually do is I'm gonna make my own room, which I'm gonna put the djembe in a room. So what we'll do here, and I'm just gonna mute these real quick, the room mics here. I'm gonna take the top and the bottom, and I'm going to send them out their own bus, right? So I'm holding down Option and Shift, right, to do to selected. I'm gonna call this djembes, or just djembe really, because that's all it is. And then we're going to give that, and then I'm gonna bring this djembe bus through back to the perk mix, okay? So I'm just making a new bus for the djembes so that we can still send the other perk through the perk mix, but the djembes are gonna go through their own bus before we hit the perk mix. All right, that way I can affect them differently. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure I'm always doing housekeeping. I'm going to pull this this low end out of the group together, right? So I'll go up to like probably even like 75, 80, right? Because I really don't want all that boomy stuff in there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this into a room, which I'm just going to use the Ocean Way plugin. I did a plugin of the week on this, and it's an incredible plugin. It just sounds like you're at Ocean Way. It's insane. Like I can put this djembe into the studio, and without like having to put like reverb, pre-delays, all that stuff. Just like I'm in a room, I can turn up the mics. I love that. I think it's so incredible. So there are presets here. You can try some presets, but the way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to hit reverb. I'm going to take wet solo off, and I'm going to blend this dry wet so I can push the djembe into the room, and you can get the bouncing of the walls, right? We'll start with this drums. You can go drums 1, drums 2. I'm going to start with drums 1. I think that's a good place to start. And then I'm going to do the bigger one with an M50. I'm going to mute that one. That's the C12, and it's at 14 feet. I want to go deeper a little, 26 feet. And then we're going to mess around with these mics. I really like U67, pretty deep in the room, but we can try, you know, all these. We might want a C12 just because it's going to be a little bit brighter. But let's try some stuff and let's see what we got. And I'm just going to kind of, you know, bring this dry wet knob up, and I'll show you what this will do. It's pretty incredible. Okay, so you can hear that, and I'll mess around with these mics. I'll mess around with doing the mid mic or the long mic. Let's just try some stuff. I think this is the vibe right here, though.
CBD's for curing cancers. No one grows like he grows. You might be smoking on his window. Sponges on heaven. 707. Sponges on
So now that djembe's kind of playing a role in just kind of holding the backbeat and giving a little bit of syncopation to it, it's not really doing much. Like, I don't want it to be like featured, you know, like, oh, you got a djembe in there? You know what I mean? Like, it should just like keep it rolling, keep it traveling. So let's listen to it here in the verse 1 pre-chorus vibe. I just want to hear what we got going on.
Listen up, children. Now the story I first heard from a long time ago was never to go out in the woods all alone. People go missing and never make it home. No decent burial, not even one bone. Portals hidden in trees, no you can't see him. He's calling shots far beyond dig bag and trim. A buddy too lamp short, I heard him yelling at him. Well, if you wanna burn your slash, won't you do it down where? Watch your taking chances. He won't take no for an answer. There's no going back if he won't measure. Throwing trees is all he knows, and peeping at you through the upstairs window.
So I just hid those the djembe rooms. Let's start getting this perk, the shakers in the bag steps. Bag steps? Yeah, interesting. All right, let's throw a shaker in and see what this is going to do rhythmically.
Speaking branches, popping seeds and growing trees, and stopping avalanches. He won't take no for an answer. There's no going back if he won't measure. Throwing trees is all he knows, and peeping at you through the upstairs window. Floodwaters, rock slides, better know where you're at. 36101 Redwoods attack. You gotta stay on the road when you're building the black. There's people flying off the edges like Susie's a cat. You should up, take a second, go forget where you're at. And don't get caught in your tits, that's a C-Squad's trap.
With shakers, I mean, come on. You don't want to do too much. You could throw some verb on them. You know, I could put that into the perk bus where I'm sending all the perk a little bit back. But they're sounding good to me. It sounds like it's doing exactly what it needs to do. We could check over here where as it gets louder, make sure it doesn't get too loud. Might throw some compression on it. I don't mind it. I think it sounds pretty good. There might be a little bit of room to throw some reverb on that. So I'm just going to keep that in mind for the percussion bus. And then let's pop these bag steps in here. I don't know what this is, but let's hear it.
I'm trying to make an honest living and be just like you. In the woods with the licenses. You fuck with me, you fuck with squatching, that's the way that it is. Now I haven't said too much about the squatching his beers. I'm trying to make. Now I haven't said too much about the squatching his beers. I'm trying to make an honest living and be just like him.
I think it's cool. It's like a little rhythmic element, kind of like a shaker or a perk thing. It's dope. It's giving a little vibe. And then let's listen to the rain stick here. And I'll probably send all of these to a little bit of verb, like a plate verb or, you know, spring verb or room or something.
You guys hear that shit? Oh. Yes, I do.
Okay, so I got a squatch call here. This is going to be pretty important. Let's get this guy in and see what it's doing.
What the fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit? What the fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit?
I just have an idea here to create this something that's a little more interesting here. I'm going to throw a crystallizer on it, and I'm just going to put it into stereo. And I hear it like panning, so I just want to make it really wide and do some cool stuff with this where it has some other weird stuff going on. Because you know, it's like, oh, you hear that shit? Like, let's just hear. Let's see what we can do with this. Make it more interesting.
That shit. Yes, I do. Fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit? Fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit?
Yeah, it's really cool. I like the high octave because it's like blending with the rain stick coming in. So I'm gonna leave that. It's just make it a little bit more interesting, you know. I could throw a deeper verb on there as well. I like the idea of sending it to the AKG spring verb, just because I feel like it'll give it more hug. It'll give it more space and room. So let's give that a shot. The acoustic verb here. I'm just gonna pop that on and send it there.
Fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit? Fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit? Fuck is that noise?
Okay, so making a stereo actually ruined the pan effect because now it's just not doing what it needs to do. So I'm going to make sure that my crystallizer goes mono so that I don't lose that panning effect that they had. So sometimes that happens, as you can see, like it's panning the left side, but it's not panning the right side. You can easily just like modify that by, you know, going into the right pan and, you know, copying it over. Like, for example, I'll just go pan left, grab this, and then highlight all that, Command C, and then go to pan right and Command V. Or actually I have to use, I'm sorry, I forgot, we're in Pro Tools. You have to actually do like cut special or copy special. So pan automation, like you have to do it like that. So you have to go pan left, and then you go to edit, and you go to copy special, and you go pan automation, and then you can go back to there, and you can go paste special. There should be a key command for this. I just don't remember it. So let me see here. Paste special, repeat to fill section. No, okay. That didn't work. Well, I haven't used Pro Tools in a while, as you can tell. So what I'll do here instead is I'll just take this crystallizer and I will save this setting. So we'll go here and we'll go squatch call. And we'll save that. And then we're going to go to a mono version of the crystallizer. So we'll go crystallizer. We'll go mono. And then we'll open up squatch call. Oops. don't want to do that. I want to actually open up Squatch Call. So this should be under User. Squatch Call. Okay. So there you go. And then let's see what that did. Make sure we got that pan in there.
The fuck is that noise? You guys hear that shit?
Very cool. So that's money to me. I think that's really cool. And then let's see here. Yeah, so we got all the perk in. I think we've done the perk. Let's get this tambo in, see what we got here. This should take 2 minutes.
Swatches on heaven. 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 In the 707. Ooh. 707. Ooh. The 707.
Cool, starting to come together. So next module, I'm gonna mess around with some buses. I'm gonna mess around with getting these instrument buses, the drums to slap a little bit more. And oh, actually, we still have another guitar in here. So I want to make sure that I got this guitar in here.
Wanna bring you slash, what you doing? Taking chances, crossing streams and breaking branches, popping seeds and growing trees, and stopping avalanches. He won't take no for an answer. There's no going back if he won't measure. Growing trees is all he knows, and peeping at you through the upstairs window. Floodwaters, rock slide, better know where you're at. 36101 Redwoods attack. You gotta stay on the road. Wanna bring you slash, what you doing down where? Swatches taking chances, crossing streams and breaking branches, popping seeds and growing trees, and stopping avalanches. For an answer, there's no going back if he won't measure. Growing trees is all he knows, and peeping at you through the upstairs window. Floodwaters, rock slide, better know where you're at. 36101 Redwoods attack. You gotta stay on the road.
So yeah, I feel like that's more of a rhythmic guitar, kind of cool. I like the spank with the spring reverb, sounding really dope. So I'll pop these other ones in, and I'm just gonna tweak them a little bit. But let's go to the next module where I start getting into more buses and stuff. I don't want to bore you with getting the electric guitars put in. I'll just tell you what I did after I do it. How about that? All right, meet you in the next module.